Hello, Star Wars Galaxy of Hero players. And Ditesh Ordo here. Today, okay, I know this is like late coming out, but I've just had no time to record up until Sunday, the 14th of November of 2021. So yeah, but we've had exciting news in the last week. We got both Starkiller as a new legacy event, so it's probably going to be on the level between Legendary and Journey, which is nice. I hope it's a 5-star unlock. A lot of people are hoping that. So it gives us a chance to, have a chance to play with the character early, get him up, level 85, gear 11, unless they allow these legacies to be gear 12. That'd be nice and spicy. But aside from that, it'd be really cool. So now one thing I want to say is a lot of people are like, one of the requirements to get the Starkiller is actually unlocking with Dash Rendar from the Shadows of the Empire game. Starkiller is also, by the way, from the Force Unleashed game. So Force Unleashed came out in around 2008, 2009 range, where what's it called? The Shadows of the Empire came out like 1998, something like that. It's an older game. It's a fun game, though. It's definitely worth trying out over time, so give it a chance. And it's a pretty fun game. But there's a lot of people are saying there's no connection to this character because every other character that has had an unlock, Galactic Legend, Legendary, Journey, Epic Confrontation, there was some sort of connection to that character, even if it was a master, apprentice, an ally, an enemy, stuff like that. Parents, father, sons, that kind of stuff, siblings. But Dash Rendar has no connection to, lore-wise, no connection to Starkiller. I'll admit that right now. However, I did find a connection, a weird, janky, crazy connection that actually makes sense. And this might be why they brought it in, which brings up the concept of, are we going to get a new faction, maybe? But let me lead it into it. Okay, so I'm going to start on the side of Starkiller. So, Force Unleashed, he's the apprentice of Darth Vader. That is huge. In Legends continuity, this isn't canon. At least canon yet. Who knows? Maybe there might have been some time he had some time to train, and then it got, maybe not as in depth as it was previously in Legends, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But for the most part, no, there's no actual connection. So he's that apprentice. Now, the thing is, what is the voice actor to, and the facial features to Starkiller based on? Sam Witwer. He also voiced the Emperor in a few different lore, but he also voiced Maul in Solo: A Star Wars Story, while Ray Park played the body, even though it was like for like a 15-second scene. We also got what's it called? Clone Wars and Rebels, that he voiced Maul as. Now, who did Maul create, or what did Maul create during the Clone Wars and Rebels? Well, more of Clone Wars up to Solo, because he wasn't doing anything in Rebels other than looking for revenge. He created an underground shadow collective that eventually turned into the Crimson Dawn. What all recruited factions or underworld groups did he recruit? First, actually, I'm going to start last. He recruited the Hutts. They came and gone. They joined for a little bit once Mandalore came around, and then they kind of ditched him after he was captured by Sidious. And this is from the Book of Dathomir, Brother of Dathomir, whatever the Darth Maul comic book series was. Anyways, first Pikes showed up. Second, and they volunteered, and I think they stayed around a while. But the first faction that he recruited is he went to Mustafar and found the Black Sun. What faction does Dash Rendar end up fighting outside of Empire in Star Wars Shadows of the Empire? If you don't know, it's the Black Sun. One of the main bosses and leaders of that faction is Prince Xizor. Interesting. Could it be that we might actually see a faction of the Black Sun come into Galaxy of Heroes? That would be awesome. Led by none other than Prince Xizor, or Xizor, Xizor. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Xizor. This is the way I pronounced it. Speaking of which, there's also a link to Empire War, because Prince Xizor showed up and had some dealings with the Zon Consortium, as well as Grand Admiral Thrawn. So Grand Admiral Thrawn knows him, at least in Legends. This is Legends. So I'm like, okay, this is actually really, really a cool concept. So yeah, hopefully we get the Black Sun. This could link in. But right now we only have showings of Dash Rendar as a requirement. Every week we're supposed to have it, a new character, spoiled or whatever. I don't know if they're going to do a big, riddle, puzzle like Crumb loves to do, but we'll see. We don't know. We'll have to find out if that goes around. Also, on the side note, 2 characters that can become Black Sun members, Mob Enforcer and IG-86, because IG-86 was present with Black Sun logo, under the lead of Zero the Hutt in the Clone Wars movie, as well as the episode where he gets broken out by Cad Bane. Zero the Hutt is a Black Sun member, as well as a Hutt cartel member, or Hutt family member. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Now, I'm going to mention some possible predictions for characters, for the unlocks. Well, boom, wampa. Sorry, I'm recording over my recorded Grand Arena battle. Anyways, so, oh, by the way, this is why I love Wampa. Boom. And boom. Ta-da. Anyway, sorry. Sorry. Not to get distracted there. So, a lot of people are speculating characters from Battlefront, 2017 Battlefront 2, Kyle Katarn, Cal Kestis, and a few others. However, I'm going to go a different route. And bear with me. First off, I want to mention this. Kyle Katarn would be great. However, if they do bring Kyle Katarn, I hope it's not the Jedi version, because the Jedi version of Kyle Katarn is really strong. The more mercenary scoundrel version, where he just uses a couple of blasters. Like, he uses his iconic blaster pistol. He, pulls out a couple of different weapons. Maybe he has a mode-changing ability. Maybe he has 2 special abilities. Blaster pistol, his little melee stun gun thingy, where he goes up and whatever. That has the claw from Jedi Outcast. And then he has a mode change ability where he changes those 2 weapons into like a repeating blaster rifle and maybe a rocket launcher, or a repeating blaster rifle and the fillet shotgun type weapon. Obviously I'm going to have pictures of these popping up. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool to, and then he has a leader in the unique, or maybe just 2 uniques. I don't know. He could be really cool as the Jedi version, would be more legacy level, on the level of, Starkiller, not on the level of, Marquis. The mercenary version, yes. And actually that mercenary version doesn't have to have a leadership. It would just be 1 unique, and then 3 special abilities and a basic. So it'd be a really unique character that has a lot of different utility, because he has, throughout the games, he's used a lot of different weapons, and it'd be kind of nice to bring in some of those weapons into the game. So if they do go that way, that'd be great. Now, my predictions are going to be, so we got Dash Rendar. Outside of Black Sun members of the Empire, and maybe a Sand Wampa from Shadows of the Empire, there's a Sand Wampa. He was transported, and they, kind of adapted to a sandy place on one of the planets. I forget which planet he goes to, but there's a sand wampa. We can get a sand wampa, haha. So we got wampa, sand wampa, woohoo! One's a tank and one's a damage dealer, and they have some like synergy together. There you go, wampa duo, man, wampa duo. But going back to it, we have Dash Rendar. The only other character I could see possibly coming from the game, outside of like Prince Xizor and his ship and stuff, is Lebo, his droid, Dash Rendar's droid, which down the road they could bring in a ship linking to that, being the Outrider. Like, we get a version of the Outrider in Star Wars Rebels, which is used by something else. Maybe that ship, because that ship doesn't show up again after that episode, so maybe that ship was bought by Dash Rendar and was taken, repaired, modified to fit him and his droid Lebo. Maybe Dash Rendar comes in and can. I don't know about that. But boom, you got two characters there that could lead into a ship, and that'd be that. And then the other three characters makes more sense to be Force Unleashed characters. That way they're pulling something, at least two games from two different games and kind of boosting things up. And Lebo could also he'll be a droid scoundrel, maybe a rebel, so he'd synergize. He'd be like a mini C-3PO that kind of buffs various different factions. Next would be, again, the other two, because there's only two left, would be, to me it makes sense, would be Proxy the droid. I don't know how they would work that. Would he be able to transform into any target? It'd be interesting. I think it'd be kind of cool. Unless he has a mode change where he just changes into a couple of different enemies. Like he'll transform a Maul transform ability, an Obi-Wan Kenobi transform, Proxy Obi-Wan, Proxy Maul, Proxy, I don't know, something else. And they just, become that ability, but with Proxy stats. So they become a Darth Maul or a General Kenobi or maybe just a Jedi. Well, I don't know if they could do Jedi Master Kenobi, because they'd have to do a different version of Master Kenobi. It'd have to be a weaker non-galactic legend version. I don't know what they would do with that. But Proxy would definitely be a very cool droid to have. He would definitely make more sense to be neutral, since he can transform into various different characters. And then some people maybe think Juno. I'm going to predict, because hear me out on this. I'm going to predict Rom Koda, the Jedi that ends up helping Starkiller turn into Galen Merrick as a Jedi, which could lead into another legacy version of that and be the light side Galen Merrick. So we'd have Starkiller, and he would be Sith oriented, because he was trained by Darth Vader, a Sith Lord. I know Darth Vader had some training with Inquisitors throughout both canon and Legends, but he makes most sense to be a Sith because of what powers he holds. He's way stronger than any Inquisitor. So Starkiller would make the most sense as a Sith. Maybe an Empire, it's debatable. Like, he did work for Vader to go on assassinations against Jedi, but he also fought against Stormtroopers too. So it was like, it's debatable on Empire tag. But if that's the case, Lord Vader's going to get stronger. But as long as he's a Sith Lord and not an unaligned Force user, Sith Eternal Emperor will get stronger. And I feel like that would be a good way to go to boost Sith Eternal Emperor's viability. Especially since if you actually pay attention to the Fallen form, or like the Dark Side Sith Hunter Starkiller, which would have that Sith Hunter armor, he would actually be very formidable that way, and it would actually make sense for him to also help Sith Eternal as well. And that Sith Hunter form of Starkiller was, the dark. You'd have to choose the dark side in the game. Boom, you got yourself he worked for the Emperor at that time. He took Darth Vader's spot. So he also makes sense to come in. And I feel like all three versions of those characters should be legacy level, where they can pull a couple of characters here and there from various other games, smaller games that don't have a lot of characters to pull from. And we got ourselves, some extra characters to help various teams out. Like Dash Rendar makes sense to help some scoundrels and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But those are my predictions. It's Proxy, Lebo, and what's he called? Rom Coda. I would put Juno more with Galen Merrick, the light version, and you'd have Galen Merrick, you'd have Juno and maybe a couple of the Jedi that he fought, as well as maybe a couple of characters from a different game as well. But going back to it though, the one last thing I want to mention is the Black Sun. I also could see Prince Xizor being a legacy level character. He would definitely make sense. And then you could give that one, I could see they don't have to stick to pulling from different factions or different games to, make requirements. I don't know how we're going to we'll have to see how legacy events work out when it comes out sometime in the first couple of weeks of December. But it would be really cool to see. So the characters legacy wise, I would like to see is Galen Merrick, the light side version. I would actually like to see the 2 clone versions of Galen and Starkiller, the dark side version, stuff like that. But then I'd also like to see the Sith Hunter version of Starkiller, Sith Hunter Starkiller. That would be really, really cool to actually see that kind of thing in the game. So you can actually have some more legacy levels while we're pulling smaller games that aren't as popular. Like Dash Rendar was in one game, Shadows of the Empire. Okay. Also, a side note, they could eventually bring in other IG-88s, because in Legends, there was 4 IG-88s, A, B, C, and D. And I think it was D that actually, one of them took over Death Star 2. Granted, he just went along with the Empire's plans, but at any point, he could have just turned the Death Star on the Executor. If he had done that, that would have changed the whole aspect of that battle. That's definitely one of those what-if scenarios. What if IG-88 actually decided to start firing the laser on the Imperial ships? That would blow the mind of Admiral Akbar. He's like, it's a trap. And then he's like, it's a trap for the Empire now? What? And he'd be just sitting there, picking off both sides of the ships. And because he actually did, and I don't know what lore, but there was a time where IG-88 actually slammed doors on the Emperor. It would have been funny just to see that. It's like, boom. It's like, what is going on? It'd be a kind of like a cool side aspect of the story where they're like, what is going on? This Death Star is under control of a droid. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts and predictions for this legacy event, the requirements and all that. So we'll have to see how things go for it. You'll have to let us know in the comments below, what characters you predict. A lot of people are predicting Kyle Katarn. I'd rather save Kyle Katarn for his own legacy event. So you got Kyle Katarn, you got a couple of versions of Starkiller. Prince Xizor would be a great option for a legacy event. Maybe an odd one, but this could be one way they bring in, not Beckett, but Dryden Voss, a leader of the Crimson Dawn. And we can actually get some Crimson Dawn members. Mob Enforcer could probably go to all these different underworld factions. So we'd actually get Mob Enforcer be a dark side scoundrel, but then they'd be, if they ever bring in Huck Cartel and stuff like that, it'd be interesting. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What characters do you think? Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all those who watch the videos make, and you guys have a phenomenal day.